Hi, my name is Lisa Yarrow, and I'm here to talk to you about the MPT. I want to first thank Professor Stevenson for allowing us to come to class and take some of your class time to introduce you to the MPT, which is going to be a critical component of your UBE, your Uniform Bar Exam coming up. I've sent Professor Stevenson a link, and it's here in this slideshow that you can click on. It's about a 5-minute overview of the MPT, which I think you'll find very instructive, probably easier to watch than just me. So take a second. It is only 5 or 6 minutes. It's computers, it's cartoons, and I think you would appreciate the content of this very short video. So please don't forget to do that. But as a brief overview from me, what the MPT let me try again. It is one of 3 parts of your Uniform Bar Exam. So you can see here on the slideshow, the Uniform Bar Exam consists of 3 different components, and the MPT being the first one. You're probably familiar with the MBE, or the multiple choice component, which is 200 multiple choice questions, and then you have an essay section, and then you have this MPT, which is multi-state performance test. The multi-state performance test gives you a variety of different lawyering tasks. As you can see on this screen here, the most prominent or favorite of the examiners is the objective memo, which is what you guys are going to do for practice in this class. Since 2009, when the MPT was introduced into the bar exam, over 46, and I think that's probably 47, this is dated, of the last MPTs have been an objective memo. So we'll practice on the objective memo, and what that means is you're going to get a document that looks like this, and it contains a lawyer file, just like you would get in practice, along with the library. So you don't have to do the research, they'll provide the research for you. This table of contents is included in any and every MPT, so you can see as you're starting to do the MPT exactly what your file and library contains, how many different documents you have to read, how many different cases and statutes that you have to read as well. You're going to start off with an assigning memo that looks like this, which is your lawyer task that you have to do. And what I tried to do in this section is highlight so you can see the critical part of the assigning memo, which says, please prepare a memorandum. So that's what you're tasked to do with this particular MPT. And they were very kind. They're not always this kind, but they outline the different issues that you need to research and analyze. So sometimes it's 2 issues, sometimes it's 1 issue. It could be 3 or 4 issues. So that varies depending on the MPT. But in this particular MPT, the examinee would have to write about 2 different issues: preparing an objective memo, objective meaning look at both sides equally, the pros and the cons of the client's position. You're going to get real file documents just like you would in a law firm. Here's interview notes. There is a letter and another letter in the file. So the file can run from 5 to maybe 10 pages. Every document is in there for a reason. Make sure you read, pay attention to every single document, extract the fact, at least 1 key fact from each document. Remember, everything's in your file for a reason. You'll also get your library. Typically, your library will have some sort of codified law. Here we have a statute. I forgot to tell y'all, this is always set in the fictitious state of Franklin. So you see at the top of the screen, it says Franklin Limited Liability Company Act. You don't know of a Franklin, a state of Franklin or Franklin law. So they're going to provide you statutes from Franklin. Some of the statutes may seem familiar, but don't rely on outside knowledge to write this or draft this MPT. You're going to use the rules that they give you. So we've got the Franklin Limited Liability Act. We've got to interpret the statute, and typically what that means is to read and break it down into its elements, analyzing each particular element. You're also given cases. Sometimes it's 1 case, sometimes it's 2 or 3 cases, just depends on the file. There's no set number of cases, but the MPT is designed for you to be able to complete it in 90 minutes. You have 90 minutes to go through these documents, read the file, read the library, and actually draft the memo. So it's not that this is extraordinarily difficult. You'll see when you do yours that you'll probably wonder what the big deal is, but the problem is the time pressure, that you have to do it in 90 minutes, something that ordinarily would probably take you 3, maybe 5 hours. So getting the practice that Professor Stevenson is allowing us to do now is very helpful. Speed comes with practice, and you just have to keep practicing, coming up with a strategy to help you push through this content, understand what you're tasked to do, and write in 90 minutes. That's going to take time. It typically takes my bar examinees at this point probably about 10 of these MPTs to figure out their own individual strategy and to get a sense of the timing and to pick up speed. And so we're really fortunate to have this opportunity to practice so early on. So when you start your bar prep and bar preview in your third semester or third year of law school, not third semester, you've already had one under your belt. And I think that puts you at a huge advantage over other law schools. So again, we're fortunate that Professor Stevenson is allowing us to do this. As for the documents that we're going to upload for you, I gave you an MPT that you can look at, you can flip through, you can see, okay, this is what the file is, this is what the library looks like. I've also given you the point sheets. These are the graders rubric, so you can read these point sheets. So I would recommend that you read the MPT cover to cover and then read these point sheets so you can see exactly what the drafters or the graders are looking for. So you can get a sense, okay, this is the content that I need to include in my MPT. I also gave you a sample answer, and I just want to run through quickly what we want you or how we want you to organize the sample answer so you can mimic this with your own assignment, and then I'll tell you what the assignment is in a second. So this is a memo. And you can see it set up just like a memo that you learned in LRW, with the exception that there's no issue statement or brief answer or facts section. In the instructions in your MPT, you'll be instructed not to include those different sections of the MPT, but simply to go to the discussion section. So the very first paragraph on this sample memorandum is an intro or an overview paragraph that really just sets forth the issues that you're going to talk about in your MPT. Then the first thing, you're going to use CREAC. Hopefully you remember CREAC from your LRW days. CREAC stands for conclusion, rule, explanation, which is a case discussion, application, and then repeat the conclusion again. So what I tried to do with this sample that you have in your module or packet is include my comments so you can see what each section is, in which part of CREAC each section represents. So this heading here represents your conclusion. Typically the headings are gonna come from your memo or your issue statements, your assigning memo, or your issue statements. Like if you can recall in that assigning memo that I showed you where there was 2 issues that we highlighted, the memo would track the issue. It would either restate the issue or be the conclusion of the issue or the answer to the issue. That's probably a better way to say it. So your headings are going to come, that's your large scale organization, that's going to come from your assigning memo. And then what you need to do is insert your rules. You can see the first 2 paragraphs, FRPC, Franklin Rules of Professional Conduct is the first one, and then new paragraph for the second rule. And then there's some comments to the rules as well. You want to list these rules in hierarchical order, with statutes first and then the commentary to the rules when you're dealing with a professional responsibility MPT, which you guys will be obviously, so it's relevant to your course. You can see lots of paragraph breaks, so it's easy for the graders to see what rules you're citing. So I can quickly see as I scan down the left-hand side of the MPT that I'm citing to Rule 4 and then Rule 8, and then I can see that the examinee also cited to the commentary as well. So those are my rule paragraphs. It's not just one, I broke it up into 3, but I'm still sticking to that CREAC organization. I've got my heading is my conclusion, and then I have my rules. And then the next thing I do in the 4th paragraph, well, actually 5th paragraph, 4th paragraph under the heading, I'm moving to my E, or my explanation, the case discussion in Olympia Supreme Court case of in matter of Davion Rose. And that You're going to do an abbreviated case discussion, not as lengthy. You don't have the time to go into the detail that you did on LRW. What you instead want to do is consider drafting only 3 things or writing only 3 things in your case discussion. The first would be the holding. You always need the holding. The second would be the critical facts that gave rise to the holding. And then lastly would be the reasoning to support the holding. So you can see that case discussion isn't very long or detailed. It gets right to the point, states the holding, critical facts, and the resolution of those facts. And then the next paragraph, last paragraph on this page, is going to be your case application. And so you can see that last paragraph in our case, as in where we're drawing a comparison to the case facts. So your job, this is the most critical part of the MPT, and your job in an MPT is always to draw the comparison between your file facts and the case facts. So I want to link file facts and case facts, reasoning by analogy, showing the grader that I can take a new set of facts and compare it to the case precedent or the precedent that they gave me to read. So you can see that's what the examinee is doing in this particular last paragraph on this page. And then they continue on. And if you go back a slide, if we go back a slide and see, in our case, that paragraph plus this third paragraph here, or the first 2 paragraphs on this page, that's all analysis, where the examinee is actually analyzing the facts, applying them to the rules above. You can see the rules cited in this paragraph, linking it to the Davion Rose case. The analysis needs to be the most important part of this section of the MPT, and probably visually the longest part. And that's exactly what this examinee did, was set forth the rules as quickly as he or she could, talked about the case, and then spent the bulk of their time analyzing the file facts, comparing to the cases, applying to the factors of the rule or the requirements of the rule. And then lastly, we're going to finish out CREAC with our nice conclusion. So what we did for you, that's a quick overview of the MPT, but what we did for you, sorry about the spelling mistake, I just noticed that on the slide, I'll fix it in the document. So spelling doesn't matter. I think I've got another spelling mistake up here as well, so we'll fix that too. Spelling doesn't matter, but it does need to be professional. So that means you can't have too many typos. 1 or 2 is okay, but if your document is riddled with typos, if we just go back up to the beginning of this memo template or the memo sample answer, it's really clean looking. It's easy to read. It's nicely, the paragraphs appear in CREAC order. I can visually scan the left-hand side and see CREAC. Everything looks like the student has analyzed and used everything in the file, which is another, or file and library, which is another key component to the grader. So 2 things that they're looking for is for you to use the rules and the cases in the library, as well as all the facts. So being as comprehensive as you can in your analysis will help gain you points as well. And also presenting a professional document. And this looks very professional. No glaring mistakes other than the 2 that I saw on the second page. And they understand that you're under time pressure. So they're not as rigid about typos, but it will be deducted if it's egregious at this point. So I provided you this. There were a couple more sections to this. I just wanted to give you an excerpt of this sample answer so you could see what it looked like, and we can run through CREAC. Again, I've got my comment bubbles off to the side, so when you're actually doing your MPT, use this as a template, use this as a guide, copy the organizational structure, because your MPT that you're going to do is very similar to this one as far as the organization goes. So what's your assignment? Your assignment, I forgot to put a sample of the MPT here. Your assignment is going to be to draft an MPT or read an MPT and draft your memo. It's another objective memo as well. This is the in-re-ACE chemicals MPT. Read it, and we've given you a template to help walk you and guide you through this. And so what I did with this template is to set you up in the type of document. I left the intro, a roadmap for you to write, and then I gave you a nice, under Roman numeral 1, you're going to have 3 Roman numerals in this document. I gave you a nice roadmap for that Roman numeral, and then each section you're going to have to fill in, and I tried to guide you through it by providing you the rules that went with the particular issue. I did that for the first Roman numeral and the second Roman numeral, just to help you as you're getting accustomed to this and refamiliarizing yourself with CREAC. And then the third Roman numeral, I left you to your own devices. So hopefully you can figure out what case or what ethics opinion goes with the third issue under the third Roman numeral. So hopefully there's not going to be a problem. You've got, again, you've got the link that gives you an overview of the MPT. You've got a sample MPT that you can read. You've got the grader point sheets and the grader sample answer. I would spend this time that you have now to read all of that. When you get to bar prep, it's a little more frenzied pace. And so you won't feel like you have the time to sit through and carefully read an MPT and read the whole point sheets cover to cover, read a sample answer. But I'm telling you that that is a huge benefit, because you will start to wrap your mind around what they want you to do in that abbreviated period of time. So I think this is an incredibly helpful exercise while you have the time and you don't have the pressure of these rapid fire assignments coming at you, to just sit for a couple of hours and read this. And then have a sample answer next to you as you draft yours. This is worth 20% of your exam. It's comparable to at least 50 MBE questions. So everybody worries about the multiple choice, but this is equally as important. So any of upfront time that you can spend on this section of the MPT will pay off hugely on the back end when you get to your third year and closing in on the bar exam. So if we can be of any assistance, and if I went too fast or you need some help, please contact our office. My email is lyarrow@stcl.edu. My cell phone is 281-467-8283. We're a little overwhelmed right now as we're getting your colleagues to the finish line of the September bar exam, and then we have one right behind it in October. But I promise you that we will make time for you and sit with you and walk you through this so you have a decent understanding of this. Or at least a good experience with this first MPT. And what we're gonna do, another typo, look at me. I'll fix the typos, I promise you, so you won't have documents riddled with typos. What was I talking about? So I'll fix the typos. And also what we're gonna do is you're gonna do a draft of this. You're gonna submit it to us. Then we're gonna provide you comments, and you can do a redo or a rewrite so you can get full credit for this assignment. So I'll let Professor Stevenson tell you how many points and how it's worth, but you'll get 2 bites at the apple, because we know it takes some time to understand exactly what you need to do. So 1 draft with this template, and then we'll go in, clean it up, add some comments. You can do the rewrite, and I hope that will be full credit. So again, we appreciate Professor Stevenson's time here and his commitment to your success on the bar exam by allowing us to come and show you what this MPT is. And I promise you, these rules track, I believe, the model rules, but writing about these rules will help you understand these rules. So the added benefit of this to you is that you'll help understand these conflict rules, which sometimes are a little tricky, and that'll help maybe this section of your course be a little easier to digest and understand. So that's it for me. Again, you have all our contact information. Hopefully you understand those documents. You've got, again, two MPTs. One is social networking, which it's just there for you to review and practice. You got the point sheets, you got the sample answer. And then you'll have the ACE chemicals MPT, which is the one that you're tasked to do. Look for the template, use the template. You can fill in the template and submit that to us at the due date. So I think that's it, and go Rockets.